What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Make Money and Have Fun show. Today, we got another Spotlight Saturday going on. So I'm sure most of you remember last time we had Les Brown on here, and I think I have somebody equally, if not even better than Les Brown coming on here today. I am super excited, super pumped. It's actually really cool because me and this guy that I'm bringing on today, we actually only really became friends through Facebook, which really just goes to show the power of technology today. So I'm going to be sitting down and chatting with Tim Bratz. And Tim Bratz amazes me day after day after day. Tim Bratz is a real estate investor, but he's a lot more than that. Tim Bratz has over $300 million worth of assets under management. He mainly focuses on apartment buildings with over 4,000 units today, and he recently actually just released a book, a children's book, which I absolutely love. As most of you know, I'm in the process of releasing my third book, so I absolutely just resonate with authors and people of the like, and especially catering it to children. So without any further ado, I got to bring this guy on here. Tim Bratz, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy? Dude, appreciate you having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, man, I am so excited to have you here. Dude, the coolest thing is, like, I feel like you and I have kind of developed a relationship just through Facebook. Like, I never actually met you before, which is the coolest thing.
It's powerful, man. Social media is amazing. A lot of the, like some of my best friends I met through social media. Like, there are people in my mastermind now. There are people that I hang out with, that we go on vacation together. Our families hang out together. Our kids hang out together. Dude, social media is amazing as long as you're using it for the right purposes. Yes. You know, like, I see a lot of people who just consume on social media, and they consume from the wrong sources on social media. But if you're consuming from the right sources, like the content that you're creating, and you know, and you're making sure you're networking and connecting with the right people, and you're utilizing as a tool, tools give you leverage, right? And leverage makes things easier. It's easier to develop relationships and friendships and business relationships. And there's a lot of things that can come from it if you're utilizing it the right way and you're creating from social media instead of consuming on it.
Yes, I totally agree. And I mean, you know, I feel myself that I'm pretty active on social media, and apparently it's worked, you know, because we've kind of connected, and I feel like we're like best friends. And then I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I've never actually met him.
Yeah.
So this is like our first like official kind of virtual sit down, if you will. And Tim, I want to start us off. I ask every guest that I bring on here the same exact question, and you're free to answer this any way you'd like. Just give me the abridged version, though, because we do have like a 30 to 45 minute kind of time limit on this. But what is your story?
Oh, man. So, yeah, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally, blue collar kid. Parents were a police officer, and my mom was a teacher and then stay-at-home mom. And you know, going through school, I was always a pretty good student. I always was motivated by like money and success and achievement and some of those kinds of things. And so go through college. And when I was going through college, 03 to 07, everybody's making money in real estate. So that's kind of where I veered off my path or got on the path of real estate. And so 2005, I started working in construction and had a painting company, and started working for a large home builder. And when I graduated from college in 2007, I moved out to New York City, and I became a real estate agent. I thought that's how you got involved in real estate. So did that, brokered some commercial real estate, just small leasing transactions, and realized I was on the wrong side of the coin. I need to be owning real estate, not brokering it. And so moved out of Charleston, South Carolina, and started investing in 2009, and did pretty well for a couple of years. And I was actually financially free at the age of 25. I had 10 rental properties. I wasn't rich by any means, but I had enough passive income that exceeded my monthly expenses. And then I had an extra $500 to $1,000 a month in just kind of spending money. So I'm like, I figured this thing out. And I went down a couple paths of chasing some golden, shiny objects kind of thing. And they didn't end up shaking out. I sold my real estate in order to chase some of those objects. And in 2012, man, completely broke. And I was paying for gas with the coins out of the cup holder of my car. Wow. I don't know if you ever bought, you know, $1.27 in gas with coins before, but it's pretty embarrassing. You know, I'm selling DVDs on Craigslist in order to try to make $2 to $3 per DVD in order to feed myself. And it was pretty bad spot. And so the thing that got me out of that was I sold my primary home, which was the only piece of real estate I still owned, and real estate saved me. So I moved back to Cleveland, moved back in with my parents at 27 years old, and ended up getting my real estate back off the ground in 2012. And so built up a portfolio with a couple of guys who were private money lenders. And over the next 3 years, ended up picking up about 140 units, mostly apartments. And then that partnership ended up foiling and just kind of folding. And we ended up liquidating everything. So I had to press the reset button again, 2015, 2016. So started building my current portfolio in 2015. And I thought it would be a big setback, but it was really a big set up for better things moving forward. And, fast forward 5 years, been through a lot of lumps, a lot of struggles, overcame a lot of things, and had some good partnerships, some bad partnerships, some good deals, some really bad deals, learned a lot on the way. And, today I'm an overnight success, right? And people are like, oh man, look what you're doing over the past couple of years, but they don't see the past 15 years that I've been getting kicked in the crotch. So, I got a little over 4,200 units today, closing on another 32 units, another 166 units this month. And, just rocking and rolling, man, and trying to make an impact and educating other people on, like, that's cool for me, but anybody could do this. If a blue collar kid from Cleveland could do it, anybody can do it. And I truly believe wealth is like sunshine, and there's an abundance of it. And, you getting sunshine doesn't take any sunshine away from me. So why not share some of that, and all of us grow together?
Yeah, I love that. I'm putting that quote up here. Wealth is like sunshine. I absolutely think that's phenomenal. I never actually heard that before too, which is really cool. Wealth is like sunshine. See, I love speaking with someone like yourself, because you've had the ups and you've had the downs. A lot of people, in this industry, they haven't reached the downs. And for me, I'm always skeptical when I learn from somebody who hasn't had that down moment. And I always think, why not? And I feel like the more I bet on myself, the more those times come up. I'm a firm believer in investing in yourself. I'm sure you know this, 100%. Being to go into high-level masterminds, and spending a lot of money and a lot of time investing in yourself. And I believe that, the more time we invest in ourselves and the more money we invest in ourselves, the more we have invested back into us. And one of my favorite things about you, Tim, is the fact that you're so humble. Someone in your position, it's very easy to kind of close your doors and lock everything up and not share with people, but you're always so sharing, you're always so giving, and just giving back. And what do you really attribute that to? What kind of makes you want to be here doing stuff like this?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And, just to be on here is a huge honor. To be even mentioned with somebody like Les Brown is a massive honor. That's somebody who I've gotten a lot of my personal development from over the past decade that I've been really on this journey of my own. Listen, dude, I'm a blue collar kid. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm from a Rust Belt city, and just was raised with a lot of grit and a lot of tenacity and a lot of sticking with it. And dude, I've been through the lumps. I know what it's like to be down. I've been super broke. I've been in really bad positions. I've walked into houses with roaches falling on my head, and I've walked out with fleas all over my pants. I've been humbled many, many times across many projects and many deals. And so, to have, your nose up in the air and think that you're better than somebody. No, man, it's just you're on a different path. You're doing different timing than what somebody else might be starting out at. And there were a lot of people early on in my career that kind of took me under their wing and mentored me and coached me and gave me insights or gave me direction. And whether they knew it or they didn't know it, or whether they knew me or didn't know me, I got a lot out of that. And so if those people didn't exist, I'm thinking, where would I be? I wouldn't have some of the philosophies and mindsets that are in my head. And, I think when I'm born in America, right? I'm a white male. I don't know what it's like to go through some of the hardships that minorities go through or women go through. I can only imagine. I can only hear those stories. I was born to two parents that were amazing and supportive and gave me everything that I could ever need, And I think when you've been given that and you realize it and you appreciate it and you can really show some gratitude, and you have there's no reason why I shouldn't push the limits. I have nothing that can limit me other than myself, right? There's no reason that I couldn't take this, that I shouldn't be taking things to the next level. And I feel an obligation to pay it forward. I have been given everything and not given, like I've earned obviously everything, but
Right.
I've gotten a lot of great things in my life, and I feel like I owe it forward to be an inspiration to other people. I feel like I owe it to others in order to offer insights to them, in order to help them on their journey, make things a little bit easier and a little bit smoother as they go through this, and help them, abbreviate that learning curve.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love that. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Our potential is limitless as human beings. And you brought up, a couple facts that in some ways we don't have to deal with the same things that others might, being white males living in America with two parents raising and that kind of stuff. But I love that Tony Robbins has a quote, and he says, when you trade in your expectation for appreciation, everything changes. And sure. as I've gotten older, that phrase has resonated more and more with me. And I think that's really what you're putting out there, is the fact that you appreciate what you have, and you realize that you have something to offer. Because the funny thing is, you're on a show right now called the Make Money and Have Fun Show. And a lot of people look at money as a goal. They look at money as the thing to strive towards. And the funniest part is that money is really just a byproduct of value exchange. And the more value that you exchange with people, the more money you receive. But then money doesn't really become the goal at that point. It's the byproduct of money that becomes the goal. Because, having a bunch of money sitting in your garage is, as useless as having a rock sitting in there. Yeah. But when you can utilize it to do something good and something great, it makes that much of a difference. And I think that's really one of the reasons that I got pulled towards real estate investing. What was it? I kind of I want to retract your story back to the beginning. What was it kind of like for you just getting started out in real estate investing? Was it kind of towards a noble thing? Was it looking towards the money, or what kind of, I feel like kind of hooked you to it?
Yeah, I think, you bring up a great point, and, people want money, right? And that's what motivated me. When I was 22 years old, dude, I wanted money. I wanted, nice cars, and I wanted nice houses, and I wanted fancy vacations. That's what motivated me.
Right.
As I got on this journey of personal development, and I think that's okay, right? I think a lot of people, they try to shy away from it and not say that that's what their motivation is. I don't, it's okay. You don't have to be ashamed of that. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting money, as long as you then understand it's not about the money. And I think as you earn more money, and as you go down this path of personal development and realizing the value exchange then brings money, you realize it's not about the money. It's about what you can do with the money, how much more of an impact you can make with having access to you can't retire your spouse unless you have money. You can't retire your parents unless you have money. You can't donate to your favorite organization and nonprofit or church if you don't have money. You can't, help out a family in need if you don't have money. You can't donate to the homeless person on the street if you don't have money. You can't build houses in Haiti if you don't have money. All the noble things, you need resources. It's the world that we live in. You've got to have access to capital or access to resources in order to make a bigger impact. So, as long as you don't become in love with money, and instead you become in love with the things you can do with the money, I think that's a very noble thing that path to go down. So I can tell you that early on it was money, but as you make more money, what's interesting is I've studied a lot on personal finance, but also I got into personal development, which is happiness, fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. And everything I've ever read on happiness is once your minimum threshold of financial needs are met, meaning you got a roof over your head, you got clothes on your back, you got food on your table, you don't have to worry about the safety and the health of your family. It doesn't matter if you, which is a threshold. Most of them say it's between $50,000 to $60,000 a year household income. So it doesn't matter beyond $50,000 a year. It doesn't matter if you make $50,000 or $50 million a year. There's no difference in happiness other than from a monetary standpoint. As when you make more money, you don't increase your happiness after those basic needs are met. So how do you get the fulfillment? How do you get the happiness? A lot of that comes from making an impact. And I think if you have the ability to make an impact and give back and make a difference, I think you have the responsibility to do all those things.
I love that so much. Let's get some wow faces going on. So I want to interact with the audience a little bit. So we have a couple people here watching us. If any of you out there have a question for Tim, write it right in the comments, because I can actually bring your questions right up on screen with us, and you can ask those questions. In addition to that, something else, this is really cool. So I actually have this phone number right down here. So 215-596-1515. If you text in the word Tim to that phone number, I can actually bring you backstage, and we can bring you on screen to ask Tim your questions. So this is some really cool technology hacks we got going on here. Let me see if I can actually bring up
It's above my pay grade, man. I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Let me bring up a little ticker here for you. So text Tim to, what's the number? 215-596-1515. And I will bring you on screen. Boom. Check it out. There it is. So text the word Tim to 215-596-1515. You can join us right backstage. Let's see what kind of comments we got coming in here. All right. So actually, a good friend of mine, another real estate investor in Philadelphia, Michael Parks, he asked, what made you keep going while consistently being kicked while you were down? Great question, Michael. What would you say to that, Tim?
Yeah, I think so I was in kind of a weird situation because I never knew anything other than real estate. I never had another background, another career or anything. And so when I've gotten kicked a lot of times, like over and over and over again. I remember this. Actually, I got inducted into the Rich Dad Hall of Fame or whatever, because I took those classes like 10 years ago, and they asked me to talk for 2 minutes, and I was like, all right, here's the most value I can give in 2 minutes. And essentially it's I talked about getting kicked in the crotch over and over and over again, and there's this YouTube video of like this martial artist, and the guy comes over in his gi, and he's all dressed up, and he gets in front of the camera like this with his legs spread, and somebody else comes in with like a steel toe boot and just keeps on kicking him in the crotch over and over and over again, and the guy just doesn't move. He's just steadfast in getting kicked in the crotch. And I remember watching that. I was like, this is like my business, right? Like I can't go anywhere because I don't know anything else. I can't quit. I have nothing to retreat to. I have no other boats, and ships to sail somewhere else. I've already kind of like, it's not even that I burned the ships. I just didn't have any other ships. Like what else would I do? I don't know what else to do. So I was almost like, that seems like, oh man, you don't have a backup plan, but it was almost my, a blessing as well, because I couldn't go back to anything. I had to stick with it. I had to keep on moving forward. So that was it. And then I guess the mindset piece was, I always knew that real estate was not an experiment. I mean, you look around and you're like, there is so much wealth built through real estate. I know that it's not like a tech startup. It's not like this new, get rich quick scheme or type business. It is something that's steadfast. Since the beginning of time and civilization, wealth has been measured in land ownership. I don't know, when there were feudal lords in Europe, right? Like those were the ones who had all the influence and had all the wealth. And so like I knew that it worked. It was just a matter of time. And so believe me, I wanted it to work faster for me. I wanted it to go quicker. And I think we always do. Sure. But it's just, it's that 10,000 hour type thing. You got to give it a good 5-6 years before you become a master at any craft. And what I see a lot of people doing is like the hardest part is getting this thing off the ground. I did a Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago about, it was kind of a cool analogy about an airplane. And on a 2-hour airplane flight, this is real statistic, I looked this up personally. On a 2-hour flight, 50% of the fuel is used in the first 15 minutes of that flight, just getting the plane off the ground. After you're off the ground, the other 87% of the flight only uses up 50% of the fuel. And I think business is a lot like that. And I think getting your business, especially your real estate business and any business really, getting it off the ground is the hardest part.
Yes.
And that's when you take all the lumps. That's when you get kicked in the crotch so many times. That's when you have the contractors screw. I mean, they still try to burn you, right? That's when you have the worst tenants because you don't know how to screen them. That's when you have the worst contractors because you don't know how to screen them. That's when it's hard to raise private money because you don't have the experience with it. It's hard to source deals because you're not seen as a credible buyer in the marketplace. The hardest part is getting it off the ground. If you can get it off the ground, then you just pump the gas once in a while and it stays afloat. It's a lot easier for me to do deals today than it was 10 years ago. And I do more profitable deals today than it was 10 years ago. But I had to get it off the ground. I had to get my real estate business up into the air before it was like easy sailing. And I see a lot of people get involved in any business and they get all excited. But once the excitement dissipates and they're still going through this learning curve of trying to grow the business, it's a lot of hard. It's a lot of lumps. It's a lot of hurdles to get through. It's that's when they quit and they jump into some other business or some other venture or some other plan B. And what they don't realize is you got to get the plane off the ground in that business too. And they spend their entire life in the difficult phase of trying to launch all these different businesses, and they wonder why they're never getting ahead. It's because they never stuck to anything long enough to get ahead, to become a master at it, to become the best in that industry, and to have the influence and the respect and the trust that comes with becoming an expert and an authority in that space. So that was just what happened for me, dude. I took a lot of lumps for a long time, and I wasn't seen as an authority in multifamily until a couple of years ago. And it wasn't until, 2017, 2018 that people are like, dude, how are you doing this? Oh my gosh, you collected so many units in such a short amount of time. Well, you don't see the previous 10 years of all the lumps and me trying to figure this out and how many times I got burned. So I think it's understanding real estate works, right? And then it's being willing to go through the lumps and just understand that it's not about the hard things that happen right now. It's what do you get once you get past it, right? Like if I can get through all these lumps, what is the prize at the end of the road? Can I retire my spouse? Can I retire my parents? Can I build hospitals? Can I build churches? Can I build a nonprofit? Can I send kids to school? Can I write a children's book and develop these can I dude, can I buy a house on the ocean, right, in Charleston, South Carolina? Like, this house isn't for me. I got friends here all the time. I had visitors here for 24 different visitors here for 22 days straight last month. And I do, it's cool to have it for myself, but it's cool to be able to give that to my parents and give it to my in-laws and give it to my friends and my business colleagues and have them come in and visit and let them experience this kind of, like, there's a lot of cool stuff that can come by sticking it out and not jumping and having to get the plane off the ground over and over and over again in different businesses. So you just stick with it.
Man, I love that so much. I could end this interview right here and that would be it. That was amazing. So it's funny that you brought up quote unquote martial artist in the beginning when you were talking about the guy getting kicked in the crotch over and over again. So I don't know if you know this, but I actually studied martial arts for about 15 years. And I was a martial arts instructor for many years. And the reason I bring it up is because we're talking really right now about mindset. And in my belief, mindset is really the key to everything. Like we talked about earlier, unlocking your potential and how every human being has this essentially unlimited potential, but most people don't tap into it. And so a lot of times I attribute my successes or my internal fortitude to my training in martial arts. I say that I basically had a mindset forged by fire, where it's like, I don't know what quitting is. I don't know what giving up is, but I look at like something like this show, like I'm not making $1 off of this show today. I don't make a single penny off of any of this. And it's a lot of work. I gotta find the people that I want to interview. Then I gotta set up the Eventbrite page. I gotta register people. I gotta make sure people show up to it. I gotta get people to ask questions. So there's a lot of this startup, like you mentioned, this startup work going on with a lot of these things. But when you look at it in terms of the reward at the end of the tunnel, it makes sense. And I kind of want to almost bridge two gaps. So we're going to talk about the second half of this show, which is having fun. We talked about making money a bit, but let's talk about having fun now, because my belief is that making money isn't enough. Having fun isn't enough. We need to really bridge that gap between both our passion and our prosperity, and then we can achieve success. What are your thoughts on that, Tim?
Yeah, I think if you're not having fun doing anything, I mean, life is too short. I think people are starting to realize that, and they're understanding that. I mean, you hear these stories, and you hear somebody who had a relative that just passed of cancer, and they were only in their 30s or in their 40s or something. You're like, man, life's short, right? Like what if that happened to me? And none of us think it's going to actually happen to us, but I think what's helped me put time in perspective is having kids. And like my daughter's 5 years old. She's on the door right here with a whiteboard marker, and she does her math on the door, right? And she's 5 years old, and 2 months ago, she, I don't know, was just like she can count, but she couldn't count past like 25 or 30 or whatever it was. And now she's doing like addition, she's adding 8 plus 8 equals 16. She's like in kindergarten. I'm like, dude, it's amazing how far you've come in just 5 years. And I think about when she was a baby and falling asleep on my chest and just a few years ago, and like how quickly, like the days are long, but the years fly by kind of a thing. And you realize how short of time we have. And so a big piece of, hey, once I started making some money, I was like, all right, now I need to make sure my business is fun. I need to make sure that I'm having fun doing this, because if you're not having fun, it's not worth it. And you spend so much time doing your business. Like, what are you going to be pissed all the time? You'd be angry all the time. You're going to dread it all the time. So I realized, like, I took there's actually a great kind of thing that you can implement. I did a time audit, and where was I spending my time? And I for an entire week, every 15 minutes, I wrote in a notebook, here's what I was doing from 6 o'clock in the morning when I woke up, every 15 minutes until 10 o'clock at night when I went to bed or whatever. And then I went back and I audited where was I spending my time. And I did it from a business perspective, because next to every single line item, I either put a dollar sign or a zero, meaning was it a revenue generating activity or not? And if it wasn't, I needed to staff that out or get rid of it and delete it altogether from what I was doing. But then I also went back and I put, to your point of making sure you're having fun, I put a smiley face or a frowny face. Is this something I like doing or don't like doing? And so I made sure that I was doing everything that was generating revenue and or having fun. And now it allowed me to do the stuff that I actually enjoy doing. And you know what you find is, like, the stuff you enjoy doing, you're pretty good at doing because you enjoy doing it. And then all of a sudden it compounds and you become better and better and better at it. So I'm like really good at raising money, and I love raising money. And I enjoy it. I love having conversations. I love talking to people about building wealth, personal wealth. And so just before this, I did a webinar to a bunch of my investors about a new deal that we're closing next week, and raised $2.5 million in a 1 hour webinar, right? That's like amazing. But I love doing it because it's exciting. It gets them excited. Somebody was like, I'm in for, $500,000. And then after the webinar, they're like, I'm in for 800. I'm in for 800, like I'm ready to go. And I'm having these amazing conversations with people and helping them build wealth, helping them create, legacy for their family. And I enjoy doing it. At the same time, there's other things in my business that you have to do in your business. And, but it's not me that has to do it, just somebody has to do it. So why not bring on somebody like my COO, Matt Carlin, is an absolute ace. He is unbelievable at operations. He's unbelievable at standard operating procedures and checklists and these diagrams and scopes of work and SOPs and all these things. And I'm like, dude, I could do that, but it's a draining activity for me.
Yes. Let
me stay in my genius zone. Let me do the activities that are drivers for me. And then let me staff this out to you, because he loves that. For him to be on a podcast is a draining activity for him. He could do it, but it takes more energy, right? For him to jump on here and be on a podcast and do a Facebook Live. And that's like his zone. Him being in a zone and doing spreadsheets and doing SOPs and doing KPIs, key performance indicators and metrics and measuring team, like, he loves it. And there's people out there who love doing the things that you don't love doing. So guess what? Partner with them, joint venture with them, staff it out in a way that allows, all the frowny face things that were on that then became the job description for my assistant or for my COO, or for me, and all of a sudden I could focus on the things that made me happy. They could do the things that made them happy. And together we're able to complement each other's skills without dancing on each other's strengths, Perfect. And that's the way that you can kind of build your business and stay happy and stay motivated doing the things you enjoy doing in your business and not having to do the things that you don't.
Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that so much. So it's funny, I'm writing my third book right now, and the title of the book is Make Money and Have Fun. So you can guess what it's about, but I'm writing the Have Fun section right now. And I created a process very similar to yours. And by the way, I'm totally going to do that, because I absolutely love the way that you did it, even better than my way.
simple. You don't have to overcomplicate this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I do what I call a EAD assessment. So the EAD assessment stands for eliminate, automate, or delegate. And it's the same idea as what you're doing. You're taking all of your tasks, everything that you have to do in your business, and you're writing them out. And then you put next to them, can I eliminate this? Is this even necessary for what I'm doing? Or is this really just a waste of time that feels good, right? So everything that you can eliminate gets eliminated. Everything that's left, you're either going to automate it or delegate it. And the only difference is automation is a system, it's a computer software, and delegation is a person, right? It can be a virtual assistant, or like you said, a CLO or an employee, a joint venture, a partner, whatever it is. And then at that point, the same exact thing happens. So I love the idea, the cliche, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. You've heard it, right? So I actually changed that slightly. I believe that the saying should be, do what you love and you'll work every day of your life, but it won't feel like work anymore. And I think when we look at it that way, it really helps to change our perspective on it. Because the funny thing is, I want to work. I don't want to sit around all day. But there's certain things that I do, like speaking, like interviewing people, like these kinds of activities, that this doesn't feel like work for me. This is super fun. I mean, we've been talking for half an hour. It feels like 3 minutes at this point, and I'm just enjoying all of this stuff. And so my goal, like you said, is to eliminate all those frowny faces and get rid of everything that's not fun and mentally draining, because I believe that the sustainability goes away. If we go back to your plane analogy, your airplane analogy, it becomes much more difficult, if not nearly impossible, to get that plane off the ground when everything you're doing to take the plane off the ground, you hate doing, right? It's like if you actually like doing those things, it's not going to be a very difficult project anymore. There's still going to be setbacks. There's still going to be hard times, but it's going to feel different for you, at least in my belief. And so on that note, I really want to talk about something that I believe is really a passion project of yours. And that's your new company, right? Is it what's your this is your
Little Legacy Library?
That's what it is. Little Legacy Library. I don't even have that one. Let me put it in. See, he already knows where I'm going with this. We got that telepathy thing going on. Little Legacy Library. Talk to me about this, Tim. I'm super excited about this. What is that,
man? I mean, I think when you go down this path of personal development and wanting to better yourself, and you start reading the books that start making a big impact on your. He just showed up on a flight like an hour ago, and he's inside right now.
That's so funny. There he is, knocking on the window. Stop crashing the show.
Yeah. So you go down this path of personal development. You get these philosophies and these, like I read and I watch and I listen to podcasts and I do these things, and these mind blown just breakthroughs, And I had one a few years ago. It was about 3.5 years ago, and I'm on a flight coming back from a real estate mastermind down in Florida, and I'm on this flight and I'm reading The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
Okay.
And I'm reading just like the opening 10, 15 pages, and I'm like, dude, this book is so good. These philosophies are so great. And I'm learning this when I was 31, 32 years old. And I'm thinking, my daughter was 2 at the time, and I'm like, I'm getting this at 31 years old. Can you imagine just being raised with these philosophies? Can you imagine it just being imprinted on you early on in the most sponge-like mental state when you're 1 to 5, 1 to 6 years old?
Yeah.
And you grow up with these philosophies, with these achievement principles and mindsets in your life. And I was like, I couldn't even imagine where I would be in my life if this was instilled on me from an early age. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I imprint this on my daughter to have these achievement, entrepreneurial type philosophies?
Right.
And so I get off the flight and I start Google searching, kids achievement books, kids entrepreneur books, and I couldn't find anything substantive anyways. There were a lot of books on how to work hard. There were a couple books on how to manage money, and then a lot the Berenstain Bears kind of stuff on how to be nice and have manners and live by the golden rule. But there wasn't anything about how to think big. There wasn't anything about how to create and imprint a philosophy on money, not just like, oh, save 10% and tithe 10% and do, like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, there wasn't anything about how to set goals. There wasn't anything about how to sacrifice fun things in order for, sacrifice short-term fun for long-term gain. There wasn't anything about that kind of stuff. Mindset philosophies on gratitude, like there wasn't anything about that. And I'm like, okay, well, I had the idea. Typically when you raise your hand with an idea, the boss is like, okay, you go and, implement that idea. And so I think, if I had, there's some people like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, imprints an idea in the back of your head. If you say no to that and you ignore the universe, you ignore God, like I'm almost fearful of what could happen, right? Like you're not going to get blessings of great ideas any longer. I truly believe in a lot of that karma type stuff. So I'm like, I need to go and create a book series for kids that hit these principles. But my business was getting off the ground at that time. And so I didn't have the time. And so for 2 years, it kind of just sat. And eventually I went on vacation with a good female friend of mine from high school, her family, my family, and another family, and all of our kids are the same age. And I was talking to her in the pool about this. And she's like, well, I'm at home now because I had the kids and I'd love to write the books. And how about we partner up and do it? And I found a partner to write the books and do the part that I just kept on, dismissing because it wasn't a driving activity for me. And so I love the idea of it. I love the promotion of it. I love the marketing of it. I love the talking about it on podcasts, but I didn't want to actually write the books myself. I just wanted to come in and kind of advise or offer some ideas. And so I found that person to do that. And so it makes it a lot more fun for me. And so it gives her something to do, gives me something to do. My wife is a partner in it as well. And she helps write the books. And so we released our first book in July of this year. And essentially we've taken all of these personal development books and we've created children's versions for them. That's and kind of plays off of them. So the first book is based off of Think and Grow Rich. And it's called Think Big and Go to Baseball Camp, right? It's like the most classic personal development book. The second book, which is going to be released this month, is based on how to win friends and influence people. It's called How to Win Class President and Influence Your Peers. And then we got another book, Power of Positive Thinking. It's Power of Positivity. And then we have the magic, or whatchamacallit? That's our fourth book. The other book that's going to be released before Christmas is The Richest Man in Babylon. So we have The Richest Kid in the Neighborhood. So like we'll have 3 books out before Christmas. They are all amazing. I can say that because I didn't write them, right? Like my wife and my other business partner did. And they did such an incredible job with it. We're super proud of the books. And like the reviews that we're getting are just off the charts. So it's an impact piece. I'm not making any money on it, but it's an impact piece. I'm meeting some amazing entrepreneurs. I get to talk about it. And who knows what might come from it. Like I'd love to start doing some live events where we get together for a long weekend, and an entrepreneur or an achievement, executive in their even if they work a corporate life or have a job, they're achievement oriented, and they come out and with their kid, and then all of a sudden we have like a retreat and we do some fun stuff. We go kayaking, zip lining, do whatever, and bring in some guest speakers to talk about child psychology and talk about some of these ideas and do a bunch of engagement and activities and stuff that would help promote that. And I think that's really one of our goals for 2021 is to have a couple of those types of events. I think it'd be pretty fun, pretty cool, and make it an impact at even a deeper level. So if you guys are interested in the books, I appreciate you offering that up, Fred. It's littlelegacylibrary.com, and the first book's available. I think the second book, I don't even know if it's out on the website yet, but it will be released in the next 2 weeks. So get on there and join the mail list, follow us on social media, and you'll see whenever these books are released. They're awesome. They're really, really cool. And the characters are all named after like the titans of industry. So we got Ford as the main character, Morgan. She's a rock star girl entrepreneur off of JP Morgan.
Which is based on
Andrew Carnegie. We got Rocky off of John D. Rockefeller. And then some of the other characters, Betsy off of Betsy Ross, and some other really, really influential people in American history and in business history are kind of like tip of the hat to them. We got some hidden pictures in there, and there's a lot of cool stuff. So check it out. It's really engaging. It's typically kids age 4 to 10 is probably like the age range, and we're working on some more toddler versions of these books. And but realistically, man, I got friends who are in their 30s and 40s, and they're like, dude, I learned a lot from that book, So it's kind of cool to hear and get some of those testimonials back.
It's funny because I feel like even as adults, we still sometimes need kid books, because we're like, you get like a Tony Robbins book. It's like 500 pages. You're like, oh, this looks fun. Not a single picture in here. Let me devote the next 9 years to this. Like,
yeah, dude. I mean, it just makes it easy. It's 30 pages. It's all illustrated, and it takes these profound concepts and breaks it down to a kindergarten level.
Absolutely.
And it explains it at that basic level. If you can understand it there, then you can implement it at higher levels in your life.
Yeah, and I think that really it helps parents do something with their kids too. Is one of the biggest things. Being a karate instructor, really, it's glorified babysitting. If we're being honest, in a sense, we're taking the kids for 45 minutes, in a class, and we're instilling a lot of these philosophies, these personal development.
It's more than babysitting, man. I mean, my kids just got into Taekwondo, and I've never been in martial arts. That's like why I use that as a principle, because, dude, I go there, the amount of character development, the amount of confidence, the amount of respect that is being ingrained in them, the amount of focus, like they're just like in the zone. It is, dude. I wish I would have had a martial arts type of background. And anybody who ever asked me if they should put their kid if there's one thing that I think better than sports, is martial arts. It's amazing the amount of mindset development and discipline that comes from that.
Absolutely. I always tell people that martial arts is really just personal development shrouded inside of kicks and punches.
Big time. We
use the kicks and punches to keep the kids entertained so that they don't lose that focus like you were talking about. But the things that we teach them are things that they take home outside of the dojo with them. And, I love just doing stuff for kids. I love being around kids. Obviously, I don't have any kids of my own, but I intend to one day. And I'm definitely got to pick up some of your books. I actually have a kind of like a baby shower / homecoming party that I'm going to next week. And I'm like, oh, I got to buy your book to a friend of mine who is, following in my footsteps right now. But dude, love it. This has been awesome stuff. Think and Grow Rich is, in my opinion, the greatest book written of all time. And to write a kid's version of that is just absolutely genius and so much fun. So, Tim, to wrap up, how can people get in touch with you? What would you want to leave the audience with?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me. Would be happy to do this anytime. So, I mean, connect with me on social media. That's probably the best way. Just hit me up on Facebook. I'm real active on Facebook and Instagram. I answer all my own messages. If you guys want to shoot me a message and you got a question about something, just hit me up. The kids' books, littlelegacylibrary.com, and then my company's Legacy Wealth Holdings. So legacywealthholdings.com is my real estate investment company. So if you got questions about that, and I'm always trying to put out content. I'm always trying to create value. I'm always trying to inspire and impart wisdom on people, and both at a high level visionary type mindset and philosophies, and all the way down to how do we raise private money? How do we source off market apartment deals? How do we underwrite them? How do we operate them and manage them and do all that kind of stuff? So, the technical elements and the higher level business and visionary type elements, always talking about all that stuff. So, connect with me on social media. And no, man, I appreciate all the value that you're always creating. I love the engagement that we always have on each other's posts and stuff. And if there's ever anything else that I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out and keep on making an impact, man. You're making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, dude. That really, I'm so honored to have you here, and I'm so glad to hear you saying that about me. I'm excited for the future, man. I'm excited.
Just getting started, buddy. Like this, it's a compound effect, right? Like, imagine what we've done in the past 5 years. Imagine what we can do in the next 5 or the next 10. Like, it's just remarkable when you start thinking about it. I don't even set goals more than 3 years out because things compound so quickly if you just give disciplined, focused effort to one thing. Like, it's amazing. We all overestimate what we can do in the next 12 months, but we grossly underestimate what can happen in the next 3 to 5 years. So get excited about it. There's a lot of good things on the horizon.
Dude, I'm pumped, man. Thank you so much for being here, Tim. We'll see you next time, man.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
Yep.